Imagine standing in the middle of an ancient battlefield. The sun is rising over the mountains of Greece. Thousands of soldiers are waiting. On one side stands the most powerful army in the world, the Persian Empire. Millions of people believe Greece will fall, but a small group of Greek warriors refuses to surrender. They are surrounded. They have almost no chance to survive. Yet their courage will change history forever. Because this is not just a story about battles. This is the story of the people who created democracy, philosophy, science, theater, and ideas that still shape our world today. This is the story of ancient Greece. Ancient Greece was not one united country like Greece today. Instead, it was a collection of hundreds of independent cities called city-states, or polis. The most famous were Athens and Sparta. Athens was the city of thinkers, artists, and politicians. It gave the world some of the first ideas of democracy. People gathered in public meetings and discussed laws and decisions. But Athens was not a modern democracy. Women could not vote. Slaves had no political rights. Only a small part of the population could participate. Still, it was a revolutionary idea. The idea that ordinary citizens could have a voice in government changed the future of humanity. Sparta was completely different. While Athens focused on knowledge and culture, Sparta focused on war. Spartan children were trained from a young age to become soldiers. Strength, discipline, and loyalty were everything. A Spartan warrior was expected to fight until the end. But the Greeks were not only warriors, they were also explorers, inventors, and thinkers. Greek philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle asked questions about life, morality, politics, and the universe. Their ideas influenced science, education, and governments thousands of years later. But before Greece became famous, its story began much earlier. Before Athens and Sparta became powerful, the lands of Greece were home to some of the earliest civilizations in Europe. Around 3,000 years ago, on the island of Crete, a civilization known as the Minoans built impressive cities, palaces, and a powerful trading network. The Minoans were different from later Greek warriors. They were mostly merchants, sailors, and artists. Their huge palace at Knossos had hundreds of rooms, colorful paintings, and advanced systems for its time. But around 1450 BC, the Minoan civilization began to decline. Historians believe natural disasters, invasions, and economic problems may have contributed to their fall. After the Minoans came another powerful civilization, the Mycenaeans. The Mycenaeans were warriors who built strong cities and massive stone walls. They became famous because of the legendary story of the Trojan War. According to Greek mythology, Greek armies attacked the city of Troy because of a conflict involving Helen of Sparta. For centuries, people believed Troy was only a myth, but in the 19th century, archaeologists discovered the ruins of an ancient city that may have inspired the story. However, around 1100 BC, the Mycenaean civilization collapsed. Greece entered a difficult period known as the Greek Dark Age. Trade declined, cities disappeared, writing was forgotten, but Greece was not finished. A new world was about to appear. Around the 8th century BC, Greece began to recover. Small communities grew into powerful city-states. Each city-state had its own government, army, and identity. The Greeks shared the same language, religion, and culture, but they often fought each other. The two greatest powers were Athens and Sparta. Athens became the center of art, philosophy, and politics. The city produced some of history's greatest thinkers. Socrates challenged people to question everything. Plato wrote about justice and the ideal society. Aristotle studied everything from biology to politics and became one of the greatest minds in history. Meanwhile, Sparta created one of the strongest armies of the ancient world. Spartan soldiers were feared across Greece. Their entire society was built around military power. Boys began training at a young age. They learned to survive, fight, and obey orders. A famous Spartan saying was, "Come back with your shield, or on it," meaning, return victorious or return dead. But the Greek world would soon face its greatest challenge, an enemy from the east, the Persian Empire. In the 5th century BC, the Persian Empire was the largest empire the world had ever seen. Its territory stretched from Egypt to India. The Persian king, Darius the Great, wanted to conquer Greece. In 490 BC, Persian forces landed near Athens at the Battle of Marathon. The Greeks were heavily outnumbered, but the Athenian army achieved an incredible victory. The Persians were defeated. 10 years later, Persia returned with an even larger army. This time, the Persian king Xerxes personally led the invasion. Thousands of Greek soldiers gathered to defend their homeland. One of the most famous battles in history happened at a narrow mountain pass called Thermopylae. Only about 300 Spartan warriors, led by King Leonidas, stood against a massive Persian army. They knew they probably would not survive, but they fought anyway. For 3 days, they stopped the Persian advance and became symbols of courage and sacrifice. Eventually, the Persians continued south and even captured Athens, but the Greeks refused to surrender. At the naval battle of Salamis, the Greek fleet destroyed a large part of the Persian navy. The invasion failed. Greece survived. And after this victory, Athens entered its golden age.
After defeating Persia, Athens entered its greatest period of prosperity, known as the Golden Age. Under the leadership of Pericles, the city became the center of art, philosophy, science, and democracy. The magnificent Parthenon was built during this time, and great thinkers like Socrates inspired people to question the world around them. However, peace did not last forever. Athens and Sparta became rivals, leading to the long and destructive Peloponnesian War. After nearly 30 years of fighting, Sparta emerged victorious, but the war left all of Greece weakened and divided. This created an opportunity for the Kingdom of Macedon. Under King Philip II and later his son Alexander the Great, Macedonia united the Greek world. Alexander launched one of the greatest military campaigns in history, defeating the Persian Empire, conquering Egypt, and reaching as far as India. Although Alexander died at the age of 32, his conquests spread Greek culture across 3 continents, leaving a legacy that shaped the ancient world for centuries.
After the death of Alexander the Great, Greece entered a new period. His empire was divided between his generals. They created several kingdoms that competed with each other. The Greek world was still powerful. Greek art, science, and philosophy continued to develop. But Greece was no longer united, and while Greek cities were fighting among themselves, another civilization was becoming stronger: Rome. At first, Rome and Greece were enemies, but eventually Rome began expanding into Greek territories. In 146 BC, Rome defeated the Greek city of Corinth. Greece became part of the Roman Republic. The independence of the Greek city-states was over. But something interesting happened. Although Rome conquered Greece militarily, Greece conquered Rome culturally. Roman leaders admired Greek philosophy, art, literature, and architecture. Many wealthy Romans learned Greek. They copied Greek statues and studied Greek thinkers. Greek culture became the foundation of Roman education.
Ancient Greece disappeared more than 2,000 years ago, but its ideas never truly died. Every time we vote, study philosophy, watch the Olympic Games, or explore science, we are still living in a world shaped by the ancient Greeks. Their cities may have fallen, but their legacy continues to inspire billions of people today. If you could travel back in time and spend one day in ancient Greece, where would you go? Athens, Sparta, or somewhere else? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more journeys through history.